Breaking news! The Ravens may be about to make the most radical financial change in franchise history, and nobody's talking about it. Imagine freeing up over $100 million in salary cap space without dismantling the team. Imagine saying goodbye to a fan-favorite player to pave the way for a Super Bowl appearance. The front office has already drawn up the plan, but the question is, do they have the courage to execute it? What happens next could shock everyone in Baltimore. But before we go any further, don't forget to like this post if you're a true Ravens fan. It's always amazing to see fans of all ages supporting this team. And if you want, comment, "Go Ravens." Let's show the league how strong this fan base is. Right now, the Baltimore Ravens are sitting at a comfortable $22.7 million in cap space, middle of the pack in the NFL, 16th overall to be exact. Not bad, but certainly not game-changing when it comes to chasing top-tier talent in free agency. The good news? That number could skyrocket. In fact, with the right moves, the Ravens could clear up to $123.38 million. That's not a typo. That's $123 million, enough to turn this already loaded roster into an outright powerhouse if used correctly. It starts with the obvious, roster cuts. Now, nobody likes talking about this, but it's a necessary part of the business. There are 5 names that stand out, and while most of them won't shock you, one might make your stomach turn. Mark Andrews. Yes, you heard that right. Cutting Andrews would free up $11 million in space. Now, let's be clear, nobody's saying that's actually going to happen, but it illustrates the kind of high-leverage decisions on the table. More realistic cuts include Rashad Bateman at $8.07 million, Marlon Humphrey at $7.32 million, and 2 younger names in Trenton Simpson and Andrew Voorhees, both at $3.6 million. Among those, Andrew Voorhees feels like the easiest decision. He hasn't carved out a real role, and cutting him carries just $25,000 in dead money. That's clean and quick savings of $3.6 million. Pair him with Simpson, whose future depends on how the Ravens view their younger linebacker group, and throw in some small-name cuts like Adissa Isaac, Rasheen Ali, and Amani Oruwariye, and you're looking at $10.36 million freed up just like that. That brings us to $33.06 million. Not a bad start at all, and we're only getting warmed up. Step 2, contract restructures. This is where things get fun and strategic. The Ravens are in a great position to restructure some major deals. First up, Justin Madubuike. Restructuring his deal alone could free up $15.58 million, and with social media hints pointing to his return in 2026, there's a real path here. Marlon Humphrey, who had his deal reworked last year, could open up another $13.5 million, but more on him in a bit. Then there's Roquan Smith at $9.35 million, and minor adjustments to Bateman and backup QB Cooper Rush could net an additional $1.3 million. Just from those moves, excluding Marlon for now, you're talking $26.3 million in savings. That pushes the cap space north of $59 million. We're officially more than halfway to that $100 million mark, and things are moving fast. Now, here's where the real drama starts. Marlon Humphrey, number 44, the face of the secondary, the joker in the locker room, the social media darling. But is it time to say goodbye? It's hard to ignore the signs. His cap hit in 2026 is a staggering $26.26 million. If the Ravens trade him before June 1st, they save $7.3 million. If they wait until after June 1st, the savings balloon to $19.25 million. And that might be the smartest route. A post-June 1 trade makes financial sense, and if the locker room is looking for a shift in tone, away from the quirky toward the serious, as some have hinted, this could be the moment. There are teams out there who could be one elite veteran corner away from making a real playoff push. Think the Packers, Rams, or Raiders. All 3 have question marks on defense and new coaches or young quarterbacks looking for a solidifying presence. If Marlon is viewed as that missing piece, a trade in June could be inevitable. With that move, cap space would climb to $78.61 million. The Ravens would have money to burn, and a very different look come training camp. But wait, we're not done. There's one final lever to pull, one that could be the biggest of all, contract extensions. This is where the Ravens can add serious breathing room. The headline move? Extending Lamar Jackson. That alone opens up $40 million in cap space. Add Brick Washington and Davius Robinson into the mix for another $4 million in total. And just like that, you've got $44.77 million back in your pocket. With every move combined, cuts, restructures, a post-June 1 trade, and key extensions, the total climbs to that jaw-dropping $123.38 million mark. Even without the Marlon Humphrey trade, the Ravens could still reach $104 million in cap space before free agency begins. That kind of financial freedom allows Baltimore to not just patch holes, but build for the future, load up on talent, reinforce depth, and compete at the highest level. The front office has a chance here to redefine what it means to be a contender in today's NFL. But it all hinges on one big question. Should the Ravens trade Marlon Humphrey? Because this is where things get even more intense. Let's assume the Ravens do pull the trigger on a post-June 1st trade for Marlon Humphrey. Suddenly, you're not just talking about cap space, you're talking about identity. You're talking about sending a message to the entire organization and fan base. The Ravens are no longer sentimental. This is business. This is about winning now. And in that case, the $123.38 million in cap space becomes more than just a number. It becomes power. It becomes leverage. It becomes a weapon. With that level of financial flexibility, Baltimore can approach free agency like sharks in the water. While other teams are scraping together scraps to make one or two moves, the Ravens could walk in with a war chest. And remember, this isn't hypothetical. Every dollar we talked about is backed by real decisions, real options. There are no pipe dreams here. These are all realistic paths the front office could take. Let's paint a picture. Say the Ravens secure that full $123 million. What can they do? They can sign a top-tier edge rusher. They can bring in a legitimate WR2 or WR3 to take the pressure off Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews. They can shore up depth at offensive tackle and cornerback, two spots where the Ravens were exposed at times this past season. And they can even afford to get creative, maybe target a veteran safety or swing for a trade that involves taking on a high-salary player from a cap-strapped team. This isn't just about making safe moves. It's about flipping the script. Baltimore could be the aggressor in free agency, not the bargain-hunting team that waits until the third wave to find value. They could be dictating the pace, setting the market, making splashy headlines, not watching from the sidelines. But let's not ignore the flip side. There are risks here. Cutting or trading away players like Marlon Humphrey and Rashad Bateman doesn't come without fallout. You lose leadership. You lose chemistry. You potentially weaken your depth in key areas if the replacements don't pan out. And while the number looks great on paper, execution is everything. Having the money is one thing. Spending it wisely is another. Think about the teams we've seen in the past go on wild spending sprees. The Jacksonville Jaguars, for example, have opened a checkbook multiple times over the last decade, only to find themselves stuck in mediocrity. That's not the Ravens' style, and it shouldn't be. Eric DeCosta has to balance boldness with the discipline that has made this franchise so successful. That's why the restructure strategy is so critical. By simply tweaking the contracts of Justin Matabike, Roquan Smith, Rashad Bateman, and Cooper Rush, the Ravens clear over $26 million without cutting anyone. That's not just cap magic, that's intelligent roster management. It keeps the core intact while creating flexibility. And extensions? That's where you show long-term belief in your guys. Lamar Jackson has already proven his worth. Giving him an extension to reduce his $74 million cap hit isn't just smart, it's essential. That number cannot stand if the Ravens want to contend. You don't mortgage the future, but you do stretch it out to buy yourself some breathing room. Adding Brick Washington and Davius Robinson to the extension mix is just the cherry on top. Young, cheap, and versatile. Those are the types of players you lock down early before they get expensive. It's another example of future-proofing a roster that's already on the cusp. So what does it all mean? It means Baltimore is sitting on a golden opportunity. They can be the story of free agency. They can transform this team from a playoff regular to a Super Bowl favorite, not just on talent, but on depth, resilience, and flexibility. They can take risks while still protecting their foundation. It all comes down to execution. And it comes down to one final truth. This window won't stay open forever. Lamar Jackson is in his prime. The defense has elite talent across the board. The AFC is stacked, but the Ravens have every piece they need, except, maybe, the freedom to build around those pieces without being handcuffed by the cap. That freedom is now within reach. So here's the question for you. If the front office pulls the trigger on this $100 million strategy, if they go all in, who should they go after first in free agency? Which position must they target? Edge? Corner? Receiver? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more exclusive Ravens updates, and check out the next video on the screen right now. You won't want to miss it.